Namaste, viewers. Welcome to Jaipur Dialogue USA and Jaipur Dialogue. Today, we are obviously going to talk about Karnataka elections. At this point in time, we all know the result. We know what happened where, in what constituency, with all details are already out. My focus today is on a strategic basis. As I always believe that everything that happens has an impact and implication for someone and the world around us. All of it. So let's dive into this conversation today. And I have greatest of pleasure in welcoming two young men, one in San Diego, Aditya Satsangi. Many of you know him. He has been on my show for a long time and many shows, and he is an author of 14 books. And his introduction is important also because he challenged the entire definition of Hindu philosophy from a myth to Satya. And he coined the word Sattology for that reason, that Indian Hindu philosophy is not mythology, it is Sattology. So congratulations, Aditya, for writing 14 books. And guys, if you haven't read his books, look it up. Look it up because it gives you a lot of thoughts and, reasons to think why we ought to be what we must, not we should. That's an important point from my point of view. And we have Suraj Balakrishnan from Mumbai. Hello, Suraj. Looking at you, I'm reminded of my good old past. By the way, my beard grew in Kerala, by the way, in a Puram festival during Guruvayur thing, But that's another story. We'll talk about that later. And so, welcome. Suraj is an avid professional, very interested in sports. He and I share a fanhood of Manchester United. So regardless of how badly Manchester United does, we will never call for Liverpool victory, by the way. So there are things that unite us, and let's kind of forge on that. So Suraj, I begin with you. You did an on-ground analysis, and like many people are doing the vote forecasting. You also had said that BJP should win about 115 votes, give and take, plus and minus, as always. So tell us what went wrong. I mean, there has been enough analysis, but you tell us from your perspective on the ground, who screwed up? What happened?
Vibhuti, firstly, I'm really happy to be here once again on your show. Now, full disclosure, before, the election day results, I had predicted around between 95 to 105, 115 seats for the BJP. And clearly, I was way off the mark, like, many other psephologists. And I have no, hesitation in saying that I got it wrong. I think every election is there for us to learn more about our society, which is, changing rapidly as, technology comes with the, elevation of poverty, with so much of growth and, so much of aspiration amongst our people, especially in the tighter cities. And looking at this election, I think it is going to be a very crucial election for both parties for different reasons going ahead to 2024. Now, the BJP, ironically, took in a lot of the wrong aspects of the Congress party, especially in the last 10 years since Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah ji, took over the reins of the Delhi leadership of the BJP. And the Congress actually gained or learned some good aspects of the old BJP, so to say. In this current campaign, I mean, if you want to go really in depth, I think, it'll take a while. I'm sure you'll ask further questions to both of us. In this campaign, what really happened was BJP underwent a lack of clear direction, a lack of clear messaging. Initially, it was the usual, Congress is corrupt, this, that. Then it became, about we have delivered this in terms of the Bengaluru-Mysuru Expressway and certain other infrastructure and welfare schemes of what the government has achieved in the last 4 years after, the previous regime was toppled. Then it became about a bit of Hindutva polarization. Then it became about personal attacks. Then it became about Bajrang Bali. So, and a few other things. So there was really lack of a very clear messaging. And then one thing that strikes me, and I don't know how many of your viewers or even both of you would remember, the very start of the campaign was horrendous when you had a BJP general secretary based in Delhi, a Hindi speaker who I don't want to name. He was announcing the list of the candidate names, right? Of the names. and he could not pronounce more than half of the BJP nominee because they were really Karnataka names, right? They were local Karnataka names, and he had a lot of trouble pronouncing it. Just like if you remember, Rahul Gandhi had trouble pronouncing Vishweshwarya,
Right.
among the old Karnataka legends. And that was a clear trend that we are seeing, unfortunately, among the BJP, where the central leadership is kind of, looming really large over the local, regional linguistic factors. We've seen that to an extent in Maharashtra. We've seen that in Tamil Nadu. We've seen that in, Bengal as well, when Mamta played that, Bengal versus outsider card really well. And now we're seeing it in Karnataka, where unnecessarily this whole Amul versus Nandini, controversy. Yes, Congress kind of, manufactured it to a great extent, but then the BJP fell for it. So we are seeing the BJP trying, this overarching nationalistic Modi sentiment, which really works for national elections. And it used to work even to an extent, it's still working in state elections. But when it comes to certain regions, we've seen Himachal, we've seen Bengal, and now, of course, we've seen Bihar also in 2015, and now we're seeing Karnataka, where it is not really working. And the BJP has to realize, the central leadership has to realize that you cannot get Delhi to contest Karnataka or Tamil Nadu or Orissa or Bengal or even Maharashtra, where I'm located right now. You have to have local people fighting local elections. And of course, then there is the Yediyurappa factor, who, above, clearly by and large, has been BJP's tallest leader, not in Karnataka, but in South India so far. He's a Lingayat, strong man. He's seen as a farmer leader. He's seen as a very popular leader, connected to the ground, a humble man who's risen up, by himself, an aspirational man. So BJP's sidelining or removal of Yediyurappa also played a part. And generally, the biggest thing is that the local government led by Mr. Bomai was seen as a weak, as a bit of a corrupt. The perception was of a corrupt government. The whole 40% Sarkara Congress has, again, manufactured a bit of sentiment on that, build upon the perception that this is a corrupt government, etc. Not that they're any better, but it was just the Hindus of Karnataka and, the nationalists of Karnataka, I guess, despite their love for Prime Minister Modi, as seen in the Bengaluru Roadshow and other rallies, they clearly wanted to, they were fed up of the local BJP, the state BJP. And that is something that I think BJP has to, you spoke in the start about what lessons leading up to 2024. That is one thing which BJP really has to look at. You cannot fight Delhi in terms of local politics.
Very good points. And I totally agree with you on that, because regional aspirations are very, very strong. And it's particularly more so in the southern part of India. I don't call it South India, I call it southern part of India, is the fact that linguistic emotions play very strong. And I totally agree with you that not pronouncing one's name irritates people. As the famous guy once said, that the sweetest sound for any human being is their name pronounced correctly. It's very important. Suraj, you are not Suraj. Aditya is Aditya. He is not Aditya. That's what is important. When somebody pronounces your name correctly, it sounds very well. And to that end, it's again perception and image part. But I will quickly come to the subject matter of what Suraj alluded to, Aditya, that you are a Bharatiya, you are a Hindu, you are a warrior, you believe in everything else there. How do you see the emergence of regionalism in India, all things considered? I consider the seeds of regionalism in India sowed by Jawaharlal Nehru when he promoted and established a linguistic pattern of states. Not to say that any language is less important or more important, but dividing the states in India on a linguistic basis soon after independence, or call it transfer of power. Did he sow the seeds of division rather than seeds of unity? And how is it shaping up as we are moving forward?
Very wonderful question, Vibhuti, as usual. You ask very good questions. Now I'll go back into the history now. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll go back to the history. Like, if you know the creation of United States, when the settlers created United States, the three things were ignored of the native population. One is the language, another is the food, and the third was the method of worship. Not what they worship, but method of worship. These three factors play an important role to define a civilization. Now, we all understand if you look at the history of languages, and you mentioned Jawaharlal Nehru. Now, Jawaharlal Nehru, everybody knows that he was a British agent trying to follow the dictates of the people from whom he gained power. That is very clear. Now, coming to the today's perspective of regionalism, I somehow appreciate a lot about successive politicians in India to they who have recognized local languages, local cultures, and local method of worship. Now, when you talk about the English word regionalism, and I will also type to the English word known as nationalism. Now, if you know the narrative in the West, nationalism is bad. Regionalism is also bad. This is a Western narrative. India is a country, is a actually Pakistan included, Bangladesh included, all these are part of India. They're acting as outside India right now, but still I believe that one day they will be back. But if you look at the local languages, including Tamil development or a local dialect of Hindi in Magad, these are the strengths of India. These strengths have to be maintained. Now, dividing people on the basis of regionalism, which the English commentators may say without understanding the meaning, actually, in regionalism is good because it creates diversity. Now, what is not good is to divide people on the basis of caste and other factors, which is very bad because caste is again a European word, not an Indian word. What has happened in Karnataka elections, I'll tie it to the regionalism question that you did, that the previous Bombay government, I was reading the records and the statistics which came out, that the previous government was so corrupt and they had so lack of leadership locally. And when they last time they won the election, they did not give credit to their own voters. And now when they lose it, they are blaming the voters. So when you won the election, you did not give credit to your voters. But when you lost the election, you're blaming the voters. This speaks of hypocrisy. Now, their opposition, Congress, I have never seen they abusing their own loyal supporters, ever. It is only the classical case of BJP and RSS combined who oppose or criticize their own voters, Hindus, after the loss. They do not go and introspect how good the governance they run. The local elections are run on emotional issues, but people have very long memories, especially in a democracy, especially when the data is out. So when the people see the performance along with the emotional appeal, why is that only during election times Hindus are in khatra? Why was not it the case during before the election Hindus are in khatra? Because then you make all the policies against Hindus in the first place. So I think it's a question of how politicians they respect their voters and how politicians they stand true to their words when they ask for votes depending on performance here. So regionalism I think is a strength of India, but at the same time the governance must be the focus of the people and governance for majority as well as minority without taking into consideration of religion, caste or anything else.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Suraj, I wanted to come back on this particular issue because now what has happened is somewhere along the line, Congress party is re-established. They were nowhere. Now they are in 4 states, including the self-goal by BJP in Himachal, and this self-goal almost losing Maharashtra, where they were winning with Shiv Sena. So there is a very interesting pattern which I was seeing, that what is it? Why is it that we grab defeat from the jaws of victory? It's something bizarre that how typically BJP surrenders that. Tell me, how important was the role of Congress party coming together, winning by default or by own goals of BJP itself, pandering to certain groups of people and ignoring their own base. How important was that? So much so that I know it because people have reached out to me that I hope the people of Karnataka teach BJP and Modi a lesson, and a hard lesson. And I said, tell me about it. So, Suraj, your take on that. Are the people, are Hindus teaching BJP, Modi, RSS for their bizarre statements at times, particularly from RSS? Modi ji has never made any bizarre statement. I think he must be having a really bad day today because with 64 seats, he would hope that I wish he had never campaigned there. That's what I'm saying. That's the point which I'm. Go ahead, Suraj.
To start off with Prime Minister Modi, I mean, tremendous respect for him. I think when he came to Karnataka towards the end of the campaign, he knew that BJP was losing. He knew the condition of the party, yet he led from the front like he's done before. He knew that, the Bengaluru roadshow might or might not prove dividends at the end, but it was also an eye on 2024 to tell the people of Karnataka that I'm there for you, and, this election we might lose or we might not do as well, but I'm there for you. And I think he's led from the front and he's done a remarkable job, whatever he could by himself. But coming back to the two states you mentioned, Vibhuti ji, Himachal and Karnataka. The two things which are common here is in both the states in 2019, in the Lok Sabha elections, BJP got more than 50% vote share. In Karnataka, BJP won 27 plus 1 with Sumalata, the wife of Ambarish, 28 out of 29, the NDA. And in Himachal, BJP, of course, won 4 out of 4 and got more than almost 60%, 65% vote share, more than 60%. So coming from there and losing both states is definitely a defeat. But on this, I'll just like to slightly disagree with you, regarding the dynamics of Karnataka. It really was an election for the Congress to win. And while they, tried their level best to screw it up, so to say, with the Bajrang Bali remark, Bajrang Bali ban controversy, and of course, Khargeji's remark on the Prime Minister, they did, what impressed me about the campaign was they were united. Despite all the fissures between Siddaramaiah ji and DK Shivkumar, their two prospective chief ministerial candidates, they did provide, a united campaign, a united face as a team, and they did the job. So this really was an election, as opposed to Himachal, where it was much closer. The difference was barely, I think 600 votes, 650 votes, or rather 6,000 votes or something. This was a very, very, decisive one-way election, and which the Congress was going to win unless they really, put things, made a lot of self-goals, and which they did, towards the end. But on this topic, what I think will concern the BJP leadership is that there's a trend, as I mentioned initially, which is now, kind of emerging across, the length and breadth of India. You see it on the East Coast in Bengal. You saw it in Himachal with a very localized campaign, which Congress have kind of, I think they're still learning, but they're doing it well because they lost Gujarat clearly. They lost Uttarakhand, a couple of years back. But Himachal, they again fought in a very localized thing, and very smartly they are, while they can't, stop their Shehzada and his sister from campaigning, they are making sure that Rahul and Priyanka are not the face of the campaign, right? They're making sure that local leadership becomes a face, that becomes their main USP, the main entity. And very smartly, they are pushing Rahul, very softly to the sidelines. Here again in Karnataka, DK Shivkumar Siddaramaiah made it very clear, this election is not about Modi or Rahul. This is about local state issues of Karnataka. They brought up Amul versus Nandini. Nandini is, of course, a popular, product of Karnataka. So they made a very localized campaign. And now the next elections are, of course, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan. I'm sure they're going to bring about local issues in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, in Chhattisgarh. And, when it comes to Modi, you just say that we respect the Prime Minister. Modi ji is our leader also because he's the Prime Minister. But focus on the state leadership of Vasundhara Raje, of Shivraj Singh Chauhan, of Raman Singh, or, whoever the BJP projects in Chhattisgarh. So in that respect, I think Congress is definitely learning. But the only counter to what I just said is that in the national election, BJP still seem to have it sorted because Congress's face has lost two big elections, or rather a bunch of elections in Rahul Gandhi, and he's obviously no match to the Prime Minister. So nationally, BJP is well ahead, But when it comes to these local elections, local factors, I think Congress is still, might have learned the game, might have learned the art of defeating, especially when, and this is the crucial part, where BJP does not have strong state leaders like a Himanta Biswa Sharma, like a Yogi Adityanath. That's what counts.
That's right. That's very, very well said, because today it's in the UP municipal elections, BJP swept, and that was no Modi campaigning there. So this is, I think that's a very important and valid point, both relating to diversity, regionalism, is that you have to deal with the aspirations of the people of that area. That is very important, aspirations of the people. And there is an aversion to rule from Delhi, which Congress party had developed that culture in India. The Congress party's demise was related to the fact that everybody used to run to Delhi to take decisions. So now, if the same thing happens under the BJP, it's a valid criticism that is BJP a Congress version of Hindutva party. That's another very interesting. But I'm coming back to another very important issue. Like I always believe that every disaster is an opportunity. How you take advantage of that is important. So far, under Modi ji's rule, the accusation was that India is becoming a Hindutva country. There is no freedom. Minorities are under threat, and all that stuff. Suddenly, is that argument gone out of the window, Aditya? That freedom of the press is there, opposition is alive and winning, and Hindutva did not win, right? So here is a very interesting thing. BBC's comment was, and I wrote it down somewhere, they said that India's Congress party winning Karnataka, Modi's BJP losing. Think about it. They made BJP as Modi's party and Congress as India's party. How do you see this unraveling going forward into many more elections now and 2024, about which we know the toolkit is in full operation? Your thoughts, Aditya?
The idea of India, sorry to cut you, Aditya, the idea of India.
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead.
I mean, the great grandfather Pappu also saw Bharat Ek Khoj. So you all want
Bharat Ek Khoj, that's right.
So that was also. So I contrast this, like if you look at the, so far I'm very shocked that Indian media has not commented that the America's President POTUS is fighting against a Christian President Trump. I've not seen that from India. Or a leftist, a leftist president of America trying to defend his seat against a incumbent Christian. I've not seen that reportings yet. But why do the Western media, or why are the Indians silent on such blatant misuse of words by the British press? Number one question. And I've not seen any counter solid argument from India. We are kind of sort of decolonized Hindus, which are living in the US, and we are trying to question everything from an American perspective. Coming back to your point, like in the BBC commentary and the media narrative, the apparent hatred for anything non-Abrahamic is very high in the Western society. Like America is trying to still define itself as a Judeo-Christian America. Now, when they occupied it, they forgot to realize that they had 80 million Native Americans who were not Abrahamic by nature. Now, they try to put the same parameter on India. Now, India's native culture is Hindu. The original culture is Hindu. Is the religion of the land. And if you disrespect that, Islamism, Christianism, Judaism are not religions of India. They are Middle Eastern religion. Middle Eastern for Europeans and Middle Western for Indians. That belongs there. Now, that clear division has to be understood by the Western media, especially BBC, which has been called many names, and you have also called themselves many names over there. Now, coming back to the current scenario in India, the problem I see in Karnataka election is we all need to respect the voters' choice, because voters have voted for. If you go to Bangalore today, it's an unlivable city. It's very beautiful, very prosperous, but unlivable city. What did the BJP government do in last 5 years other than collecting hafta? This is the question needs to be asked. So I think they have been spanked by the voters, irrespective of what faith they can profess or what culture they profess. And what has happened to the symbols of Karnataka? The symbols of Karnataka means the history, why Tipu Sultan was also promoted over there, why other issues were also promoted over there, which are not relevant to people. People are looking for safe roads, happy simple life, respecting the local culture and respecting the local traditions. Now if those things are respected, I think there will be a change in the mindset of people. Now next 5 years we will notice that how Congress will actually fulfill every single promise given in the manifesto, whether Hindus like it or not. BJP didn't do that.
That's a very interesting point because you talked about local way we pray, local life, local culture, local food, local languages. But Suraj, I'm coming back to you, piggybacking on that observation that are Hindus digging their own grave? Though we don't use graves, we cremate. Are we setting out our own process of cremation? Because look at Andhra, look at Tamil Nadu, look at Kerala. Hindus are virtually on a running away kind of scenario. We are hunted by every single minority groups. Do you see this as the wisdom of people, Hindus of Karnataka, to have voted a party in power, which Congress party, which systematically has been anti-Hindu? I mean, they have been, I don't need to say that. I don't even elaborate on that. Your thoughts on it. Are Hindu preparing for their own cremation? I won't use the word digging the grave, but I will say, are we preparing for our own cremation? And as important thing is that there were areas in Karnataka where Pakistan Zindabad was the slogan made. Even if it is one, that cannot happen. That's the point which I'm trying to say, because as a Muslim dear friend of mine had told me, and I'm quoting him today, actually in one of the space, I tried to mimic his voice. He said to me, Jha Saab, between Suraj, Balakrishnan, Aditya Satsangi, Vibhuti, Jha, Meher Singh, Mudaliyar, Mukherjee, Chatterjee, आप सब हमारे पास वोट लेने आएंगे. And each one of you will pamper and appease me to do more than the next person. Eventually, पर सरकार आप बनाएंगे, सरकार हमारी होगी. Think about it. It's a very prophetic statement. They are the ones who are deciding who votes. And I will just add to that, and I will seek Adityaji's comment also on that, is that 80% plus Muslims voted for Congress, including the vote shift from RJD. Same thing happens in America. 88% blacks vote Democrat. Nobody calls them as a racist vote. But whites not voting for blacks is considered racist. Your thoughts on it?
I want to first touch upon, and I'm so glad you asked this question about did the Hindus, I mean, I think to paraphrase it, did the Hindus of Karnataka, betray, or are they Jayachans right now to betray?
No, I'm not. I'll be very clear. I'm not calling them traitors at all.
Yeah.
I'm saying the smart people make stupid mistakes.
Yes.
Is the hatred for things BJP, are they on the path on their own slide? I'm not going to call them traitor. Totally agree with Aditya ji. For clarity purposes, I'm the first person to respect the vote. Right. Hey, you are a sportsman, I'm a sportsman. Win or lose. When we win, we win. When we lose,
I am golfer. You guys are soccer players.
Yes, we are soccer players.
Football. We don't say soccer here.
Not soccer. Soccer in America.
All right.
By the way, soccer is a British term, not an English American term.
Right.
Well, Aditya ji, we're going to have a long debate after this is over. But I'm really glad you asked this question, Vibhuti ji, because this is something that is been flooding a lot of my WhatsApp groups. That the Hindus of Karnataka have betrayed us. Hindus of Karnataka are Gaddars. A friend just before we went on air, somebody just said that. I mean, it really kind of made me angry. You see, if somebody is voting against a weak leadership, indecisive leadership that does not have a clear message, against a leadership, I'm not saying they're corrupt, which is perceived as corrupt and they did not do course corrections. A Hanuman Mandir, and I'm not kind of blaming it for it, just to give an analogy. Hanuman Mandir had to be brought down in a certain part of Bengaluru just before the elections because there was some road widening activity. 2 or 3 weeks later, BJP does this Bajrang Bali campaign. Just to give you a kind of, I think it's a cruel analogy of this election. But leaving aside all that, if you have people, MLAs who are really not working for the people or slightly disconnected from the ground, or who think like Jagdish Chatterjee, who eventually lost his election, that he's too big for the party, sarkar hamare upar chalti hai, this sort of a logic, then I think a bit of a reality check may not be a bad thing. It really may not be a bad thing. And we saw this in 2018 when 6 months before the 2019 crucial Lok Sabha elections, BJP lost Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh. And only 6 months later went on to sweep these very same states in the Lok Sabha. So a bit of course correction, a few losses in the battle, it actually can help you win the war, the civilizational war going forward. So this is not a bad thing. And I really take very strong exception to those people. They could be BJP supporters, they could be, just Sanatanis, who keep saying that, Hindus have betrayed our cause or our own people by voting against the BJP. It is the BJP responsibility or any political party responsibility to earn the vote of the Hindus, not the other way around. And that very beautifully leads me to the next topic, which you yourself, Vibhuti, very eloquently put. The Muslims or the certain Abrahamic communities, they are united as a community. They are not united for the Congress. It could be the Congress today. It could be the AIMIM tomorrow. It could be SDIP day after. It could be even BJP after 10 years. They are united as a community and they have a community voting block. It is time for the Hindus to have a community-oriented voting block. You free our temples. You build the Ram Mandir. You implement CA, NRC. You implement UCC. Our vote is secured. Right now, it is, that you have to vote for the Bharatiya Janata Party, then maybe this issue, and this issue might get done. That is no way. I mean, that is a sign of weakness of civilization, of a people that are weak. Hindus have to be united. There's no point blaming the BJP. The BJP, to be fair, is the best of the the options right now. There's no doubt about it. But if, as a community, if Hindu issues have to be done, like yourself and Sanjay ji keep talking on Jaipur Dialogues, you need to unite as a community. You cannot be slaves of a political party or any particular leader. You have to unite as a community, and this is something that Hindus really have to realize. I think there is a friend of mine, Aarti, who keeps saying that what do other religions do when they want to solve problems? They group, they regroup, they congregate outside their mosques or churches. They talk about their civilizational issues, values, and they do what they have to do. What do Hindus do? They vote for the BJP. I mean, on a lighter note, but this is something that really it kind of irritates me. It really irritates me. You cannot just keep talking about voting for a particular party to solve all your problems. If we are united today, if three of us are the only residents of a society, it could be the Congress MLA, it could be a JDS MLA, it could be a BJP MLA. If we are united and we are the only three people in society, they will do what we want them to do. Simple as that.
Very well said, and I totally agree with you that voters can't be blamed. Let's be very clear. I mean, I'm unequivocally clear. I'm not blaming. I will never blame the voters. They voted because of their own conscience or their own interests, or they felt what was wrong and how to set it right. My focus is on one simple element. Where did BJP go wrong? I mean, all the things that you are saying, you mean to say the central command of BJP, with all the wisdom and resources, they couldn't figure that out, that this was so much wrong happening? And I want to say this here to you. In 2019 parliamentary election and Rajasthan election, I was in Delhi at that time, on that day. I met a very powerful stalwart of somebody, political analyst. He said, watch out. Vijay Raje Scindia has taken a personal fight with Modi because he did not accommodate her son in the position, to give her son a position in the thing. And she has behaved arrogant and she has challenged Modi. People of Rajasthan will teach her a lesson by throwing her out of the office, even if it means to losing the state. But and his statement was very clear to me. आप लोकसभा इलेक्शन देखिए, सारे के सारे सीट बीजेपी जीतेगी, मोदी को मिलेंगे. And that's exactly what happened. So this particular trend, regional aspiration and nationalistic goals, there is a very beautiful confluence happening. You manage the center, leave the state leadership. And BJP has not developed the local leadership. And I think Modi ji cannot be a product overstretched and oversold. Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi can't be a goalkeeper, midfielder, back, and also the striker. You can't be everything else. So Aditya ji, from your perspective, the Satology perspective, the Hindutva perspective, and I want to say this here, where did RSS and all these organizations, there are very few Hindu organizations, established organizations, where did they fail in messaging? Because, as someone pointed out, that while Modi is hailed as one of the best leaders in the world, India is reckoned as the fastest growing economy. India is doing so much on every single front. Message Karnataka mein nahi pahuncha wo. Tell me something about that.
Karnataka is the hub of the IT world of
Yeah,
India. It's like a
exactly.
And generally the intelligent crowd usually tends to be more social driven. Generally, that is a trend everywhere. Engineers, you cannot expect engineers do social engineering. They can do software engineering, but not social engineering. Before I come ahead, because I am a word guy like you, Vibhuti ji, so I heard from Suraj about the civilizational conflict. And again, it's a Western construct. Okay, there is a human. So the West, the Abrahamism is fighting for its survival. So civilizational conflict is for Abrahamism, not for Sanatan Dharma. Sanatan Dharma is well established all over the world, whether you are in Mexico or South America or maybe different forms. In Russia, shamanism is there. The problem is the West, which has tried to destroy shamanism, paganism, actually they are fighting against Sanatan Dharma. So that's the civilization war for the Western people. For us, it's not that war. Now, coming back to India and this election, you asked me a specific question about the RSS. RSS is not a political organization. It is neither a religious organization, but they think they are the custodians of Hindu religion. That is the biggest fault. And they think that they are the kingmakers like Lalu Prasad Yadav or somebody else. That is also the biggest fault. BJP is a political party. It works in a different way. It has to win elections. RSS doesn't have to win election. And believe me, I will be very much surprised if I get the internal data of RSS, how many of them voted for Congress. I think we all will be shocked because that data has not been collected. And you will be shocked that they locally also they voted for governance, not for ideology. Now, coming to the fault of the RSS here, or the credit to the RSS also, I don't believe they were very important in Karnataka politics because there is a general abusing of Hindu traditional customs and cultures. Karnataka is a home of Hindu religions and Hindu saints. There are beautiful sampradayas there, beautiful temples there. Karnataka is a home of the Sanatan Dharma. Our gurus come from Karnataka. In fact, I am born in Sholapur, which is adjacent to Belgaum, which is Kannadiga. Kannadiga is one of the languages in Sholapur. So the BJP has never been able to connect, or even RSS has not been able to connect to the local religious Hindu communities who have been always united. They vote as per their faith. Now the problem with all these, I'll give one example. I was in Madhya Pradesh in a tribal region, and where I saw some RSS people trying to impose their version of Hindu on tribal people who have been worshipping Mother Shakti for centuries before us, and trying to say this is not proper. This is the kind of neo-colonialism within the Hindu culture. We are trying to copy the Western model and trying to tell people that let me change your faith today or change your method of worship. I think those kind of things really hurt people. And Congress is very clear that Congress says I am fighting political election, no religious election, and we are fighting election to get maximum Muslim votes and on Muslim issues. I don't see BJP doing that. And I one more fault I'll say before I'll stop here, Vibhuti ji, is that BJP takes it upon itself to unite the whole nation. Congress takes it upon itself to unite only Muslims. There is a difference between the two. So there is never a national. So India, if you look at it, it's a sum total of regional aspirations. So the local units of BJP or any other party, any party, this can go to any party, must try to unite local people. And Hindus are naturally united on the platform of sampradaya. So what they, again, a trick which has been played, because most of these people have don't have brains. They don't understand neither English nor understand their own language. They translated communism as sampradayikta. So it's a direct attack on sampradayas. Actually, communism should translate to samudayikta. So samudayikta is bad. Sampradayikta is good, because we want to follow Shankaracharya. We want to follow Sanatan Dharma. We want to follow Madhvacharya. We want to follow Ramanujacharya. That is a good thing. So by BJP and RSS have demonized Sampradayas. Now that is definitely going to get them lesser votes next time. I'll be very shocked to see 2024 general elections actually, if it continues this way.
If it continues this way, that's a big if, and that's a good if actually. It's a learning if. अगर आज भी, if we don't learn even today by our mistakes, then who else? And that brings me to the same point again with you, Suraj, that we see what is happening in earlier also I mentioned about, say, Andhra. To what extent the Congress party, which thrives on the consolidated votes of Muslims, and then they are not shy of that. They are not shy of it. They don't even apologize for that. So they have earned the Muslim votes. Muslims vote for them. But very interestingly enough, despite Modi ji being attacked by everybody, that he is Maulana Modi, that he has done more for Muslims than he has done for Hindus, Muslims did not vote for him, for his work, the amount of things that he has done. So explain to me that part of the logic, which means appeasement and pandering doesn't work. Muslims will not vote for Hindus, and they do not want a Hindu Raj. That's very, a Raj here I'm saying in terms of the political administration.
Yeah.
Forget about the country as a whole.
Yeah.
But what must the alignment be now going forward?
I have a pessimistic answer. This is as a political watcher, I'm not very optimistic. I know what you're getting at going ahead. But see, Narendra Modi ji's, viewpoint, his vision, ever since, if you look at him post 2014. Now, I think you and I and Aditya ji might have disagreements about, the way he goes about certain social issues, especially after he became prime minister and he had to, adopt the statesman Vishwaguru type persona that he is right now. The one thing that I do appreciate and I respect Prime Minister a lot is that he is very clear on his niyat, right? The word he uses, his vision, the way, his approach, and what he wants to achieve. He's very clear on that. Now, he might have, really upset his own supporters about revoking the farm bills, about not implementing CAA even now. That's very important. CAA, which was, brought to the parliament in 2019, end of 2019, even today, CAA has not been implemented. It's not been. That's something to think about. But having said all that, he's very clear in his approach, and he has made it amply clear in conferences when he meets world leaders, and of course, in interviews and election speeches, that he does not want to be seen now as a leader, really going after let's say, the Hindutva issues as the first priority. That could be a second, third, fourth, fifth priority. The first priority is really alleviating poverty, welfareism. And this is a good thing. It's not a bad thing at all. Of making the lives of the last man on the street better, the poorest of the poor, getting schemes like Ayushman Bharat, Ujjwala Yojana, Jan Dhan. Now have the Kisan thing for 6,000 rupees to every farmer, and so many others, and so many more is coming to make your life better for the common man. Then, of course, is infrastructure, which he has done phenomenally well. Never has the pace of road construction been as good as it is today in terms of expressways, especially in parts like UP, expressways, highways, rail connectivity, the bullet train is coming. It's Vande Bharat. It's fantastic. I mean, we have to give it to the man. And then, of course, it is about nationalist issues, about making, the citizens safer with regard to terrorism, with regard to
Yeah.
Pakistan, China, etc., which again he's been successful in. Now, for the Hindutva issues, he's doing certain things like the Ram Mandir, movement. I'm sure UCC will eventually be tabled one way or the other.
Yeah.
CAA will also be tabled before the election. So, and of course, triple talaq and Article 370 has been removed. So the main issues that is there in BJP's manifesto, apart from the farm laws, which is kind of repealed, he has done it, to be fair to him. And in that respect, I think I'd want all the viewers to look at the BJP manifesto very closely leading up to 2024, because trust me when I say this, whatever BJP's manifesto contains, they will do it. So the problem is sometimes in the supporters of Vibhuti ji, where the supporters feel that मैं तो supporter हूँ, मैं vote करने वाला हूँ, so I need this and this done, which doesn't happen, and then automatically the pessimism starts. So look at the BJP manifesto very closely. You will see that almost every single aspect has been fulfilled. But coming to your Muslim question, the big controversial one in the bank right now, his approach and the reason why he does a lot of the the pasmanda politics that has been heavily criticized by several Indic oriented people is that he does not want his perception to be only somebody who does for his voters. I'm not even saying for Hindus. Prime Minister Modi does not want to be seen as somebody who does or who gives benefits only to his voters. Forget Hindu, Muslim, Christian. Which I think, if you look at it from a statesman approach, from a Vishwaguru approach, from a yogi approach, is a great thing. He's doing for everybody, not only for people who vote for him. So I think that should be in a way complemented. But I'm sure plenty of our viewers on the comment section, when we look at it tomorrow, will be criticizing it, and I guess expectedly, because Hindus do have expectations, right? We do expect that XYZ has to be fulfilled. Unfortunately, my prediction is that it might get a bit worse, because every time, unfortunately, if you look at the last 8-9 years, when the Abrahamics have not voted for the BJP in the center tends to sometimes do a bit more appeasement for them, under the hope and the wish that they do it. So as you saw in the Karnataka campaign, the last 3 or 4 weeks, except for the Bajrangbali self-goal that Congress did, or not just 3 or 4 weeks, even 6-7 weeks, not once was the issue of hijab raised by any BJP leader, except very localized elements in coastal Karnataka, which is a very polarized environment. Never was the issue of Hindu-Muslim issues raised, or of the Ram Mandir, or of triple talaq, or of excessive appeasement towards one religion. Nothing was raised. So I think in a way BJP, and this is a state which has substantial amount of Muslim population. It's not like Karnataka has 2 or 3%. It has significant amount of Muslim population. So I think the BJP wants, and this is of course under the the instruction or the advice of the top leadership, wants to go in a in a sabka saath, sabka vikas, sabka vishwas way, and I think we have to get used to it. Whether Muslims are going to vote for the BJP as a result of this appeasement, I highly doubt it. Maybe 2% more, 3% more, but this is the the world we live in right now, the times we live in.
That's
BJP
the way the
do
cookie
a lot for
crumbles.
the other community, but they may not vote for you.
That's right. That's the way the cookie crumbles. It's like a 2016 election when Donald Trump told the black voters, "Hey, your life is miserable as it is. What more are you going to lose voting for me?"
Yeah.
And he created significant change. But the important part here is, this is my favorite quote from history, is that history is littered with corpses of men and women who forgot the lessons of history. That's a very deep and profound statement. It's not that you have to live in history, but you cannot ignore the lessons of history. The fabulous example there is a book, Europe since 1789, in which it is mentioned that how ironical that Hitler was to commit the same mistake that Napoleon did, entering Russia in the peak of winter, Russian winter. And that's where the armies got clobbered. Important part here is, does appeasement and pampering work as a policy? Or is it something like that we don't learn from it? So how do we engage? How do we engage with a group of people? And I'm saying this as a journalist.
Yeah.
I'm saying this as a journalist. How do you come to terms with somebody who just doesn't like you, who wants you gone? Think about it from that perspective. I mean, we are termed as non-believers. You know, the question here is, how do you come to terms with that?
So, what's very important.
I mean, unfortunately, Aditya ji has dropped out for electrical circuitry or whatever.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, you are here. So why aren't you visible?
I think your video is gone.
I can see all three of you.
You can see, but I can't see you.
No, Adiya ji, your video is not visible.
No, my video is on. Can you see that?
No, I don't see you yet.
I can see all of you. I can see all of you.
Console, can you bring him up, please? If he's in the backstage. That's interesting.
I think there might be some technical issue, Aditya ji, on your side, because it happened to me once as well, where my screen.
Let me.
I could see, but the screen went blank for others.
Okay, you have heard the question. Yeah. I'm requesting Suraj to respond first, and then when Suraj finishes, please jump in with your voice if you are not visible.
I can see all of you. Okay, let me do one thing. I will leave and I'll come back.
Okay, do that, please. Console, please bring him back. Yes.
No, Vibhuti ji, this is something which I think we have discussed this in couple of our conversations earlier on air, live as well, where part of the dharmic, the Indic narrative has to be, you engage with me on my terms. Now, what is happening, and this is something we've discussed on on this particular show, is that you have an Abrahamic community in India, which is now a substantial voting bloc, where they unite, they decide what are the issues that matter to them, they make sure that they have actionable goals, solutions, they put forward their concerns to respective MLA. The MLA could be of BJP, Congress, Third Front, Fourth Front, whichever party, and they get the job done as best as they can. Now it is time for the Hindus to also unite, and to be fair, this has happened. It has happened in Gujarat for successive elections. It has happened in Madhya Pradesh, as well for successive elections. It is happening in UP now since 2017, or rather since 2014 now, where that vote base of the BJP has been consistently at least 40% or above. I mean, 40% also means that, a lot of Hindus vote for other parties, but at least there is a 40% vote base, pan UP, which is substantial. So it is happening in Assam as well now, despite tremendous amount of population of a certain Abrahamic faith. So it is happening in some states. It's happening. It's not like it's not happening. But going beyond that, the Hindu community has to unite and really unite as a community. Put forward the numbers, the strength that we can see sometimes on the streets in some states. In Maharashtra, where I am right now, you saw a considerable amount of strength with regard to the anti-conversions and the anti-love jihad movement on the streets a couple of months back, where people really made their presence felt. So where Hindus can do it, or where there's a will, there is a way. They can do it. But you have to unite and then put forward to the political party. It could be BJP, it could be Congress, it could be any other party, that here are our numbers. This is what we can do. Now, you do it for us, we get your vote. We give you your vote. If you don't do it for us and you dilly-dally around, then we will not get your vote. And as a result of that, after that, then the other faith can be addressed at the very least on equal terms, and not, groveling behind them that, please, let us unite, and, we will appease you, and then, you can have a share of power, etc., etc. It has to be done on an equal footing. And then once, it's a very simple example, which I love to give, right? If I invite you to my house and I say that, I'm just doing this because you're of another faith, and, I just want you here because, I want to show the world that I'm a diversity guy, and I invite you. Would you like to come? Probably not. But if I invite you saying that, I respect you, I, want you here, even if I don't agree with you, there's much more respect there. And that really is a difference. You cannot have somebody, just out of appeasement calling someone over to your side, to your house, and, just inviting him for a meal just for the sake of it. You need to be at a table of, at the very least, on equal footing where the two sides respect each other.
Thank you. Aditya ji, I will just add a word and I would want you to say your thoughts because you have heard the conversation. Equality, establishing equality and respect. There's two very important words. How must Hindus establish the third word which I add, demanding reciprocity? And my favorite example is you can criticize my faith, my way I pray, Murti Puja, every 99 yards of my faith. Don't take away my right to question yours. So if you want to criticize mine, be ready to face. Don't call me a kafir and don't call me a blasphemous or phobia. That's not true. Unless and until we put our own, what I call it, draw our own Lakshman Rekha, how will we draw respect?
Should I add something?
Yes, please go ahead. It's for your comment.
So, number one thing is Hindus have forgotten Bhagavad Gita. Hindus have forgotten their own Mahabharata Ramayana. Hindus have forgotten their own culture. They're just in the name of Hindus only. So you can call them a non-religious agnostic people, sometimes calling themselves as Hindu. That is a good denomination for them. So now, who is a Hindu? That's the basic definition. Anyone in the world who believes in nature as a principal source of life, anyone who believes and follows Veda, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, Purana, Mahabharata, Ramayana is a Hindu. You will find there are more Hindus in the world than all the religions put together combined. Now, the people whom you're calling as Hindus in India, or people who you are trying to unite, my question is, why try to see unity is done for sheeps, dogs, donkeys, camel. Human beings are not supposed to be voting like that. They're supposed to be intelligent people. Okay, so we have to, what we are looking for is that defining a Hindu or creating an educated Hindu which thinks primarily in terms of preserving the weather, preserving the nature, preserving the multiple forms of life, having a healthy food, having a healthy environment. This is what Hindu means. And so, if you are trying to just focus on unity against Congress, I think that you're going to fail, because it is one of the most intelligent communities of the world. You and I have traveled, and the kind of intelligence we see in India, we don't see anywhere in the world. The kind of magnanimity, the kind of broad-mindedness. So expecting unity from an intelligent person has to be done on the basis of a cause. And that cause is protecting the Vedic culture, protecting a common heritage, and you will find 5 billion people in the world supporting it.
That's very, very correct, and I agree with you. I'm subscriber to the same thought. I always say it, that unity is not a pajama, kurta, shirt, sari, salwar, कि वो पहन लिया और unity हो गई. It's not that. Unity is always behind a cause and a purpose, and I always say that we agree on that part of it. My last question, the remaining minute and a half that we have, and I seek both of you, so don't ask me to repeat the question. My question is very simple. This is very interesting, that Modi ji wanted Congress Mukt Bharat, but Congress is there, all right, in 4 states. How does the opposition shape up for 2024? Or or will the BJP defeated in every state by ejecting them from the state but letting them in the center? How do you see this opposition, Mahagathbandhan or Mahaghantabandhan, shaping up? Suraj, you go first, and then Aditya ji. You are mute. You are mute. You are mute.
Okay, thanks for that. On a lighter note to begin, let me just say it out loud. The EVMs are working perfectly fine today. Karnataka has become a good place, a stable place, a secular place, a beautiful place again. So that's
Freedom of press, everything is fine.
Everything is there. It's become everything. I mean, the people are, there's milk and honey flowing in the streets. People are smiling, hugging each other. Such a beautiful place. But on your point, this will actually make it worse or more difficult for the Congress going to Lok Sabha. And that is where it becomes very, very interesting. And I think JP Nadda Saab, Modi ji, and of course Amit Shah will be secretly happy, because what this does is Congress hasn't won a narrow, fragmented majority or a coalition government in Karnataka. They have won full majority with a thumping margin. What this will do is, we all know the egos of the Congress leaders, not just the first family, but even the second rung leadership, your Mallikarjun Kharge, your Randeep Surjewala, your, DK Shivkumar Siddharmaya. This will embolden them to tell the regional parties, your Nitish Kumar, your Mamata Banerjee, your, the others in South, MK Stalin, Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar, everybody else, that now we have, as you mentioned, 4 states in our kitty, or rather 4 states where we have our own chief ministers, and a bunch of others where, they are junior partners. And as a result of that, they will say, we need, they're going to bargain harder. And they might even say that we can fight as a Mahagarbandhan, we can fight as a united alliance, but we want our face to be the main face. That face could be whoever. I mean, that we will know in the days to come who the Congress projects. But at least that's the internal discussion. That's not, outside their purview. I mean, anybody else's purview. So then the regional players, your Nitish Kumar, your, Mamata Banerjee, your MK Stalin and Uddhav Thackeray and everybody else will then get uncomfortable, because they know that if it is a Narendra Modi versus a Rahul Gandhi or Priyanka Gandhi or anybody in the Congress for a national election, it's a no contest. Modi ji wins hands down. And
Thank you.
You know Bihar very well, Vibhuti ji.
Yeah.
Nitish Kumar did not, he's not going to leave the chief minister's chair to become sadhu. He wants the he wants the top.
That's right.
And he is not going to be happy to play, second
Now,
fiddle.
I would request you to close this. Aditya ji, quick 30 seconds, your thought on opposition scenario in 2024.
See,
30
I think
seconds.
2024 is all about Narendra Modi, because I think he's going to get a thumping, because performance is extremely good. So that's what I feel.
Okay, thank you both. And I wanted to make a closing statement here to the people of India, particularly. Don't go on the international ratings and the international rants about India being poor, happy people, or low press freedom, and Modi ji is their tallest leader and all that kind of a thing. That is manipulation. I bet my life, and I'm saying this here in public, next year in 2024, you will find the same leadership index will drop Modi by 3 or 4 points to make him look that he has failed. That's the part of toolkit. So take these international media with a pinch of salt. And I say that every disaster is an opportunity, to build, to rebuild. What did we learn from there? Wise people learn from other people's mistakes, fools by their own. In this situation, if BJP doesn't learn from its own mistakes, then heaven help. But I'm hopeful. I'm with both of you here that 2024, the toolkit operators will not succeed. Karnataka election is a blessing in disguise, because the entire world will not say that Hindutva won. There is no press freedom, and election system doesn't work in India. EVM worked, as you very rightly said. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Suraj, and thank you, Aditya ji. You want to say something?
Yeah. If America wants to win more contracts, then they should help Modi elect again, because they need to
That's good. Make in India, make in America must work together.
That's
Viewers,
right.
please like, subscribe our channel. We don't hesitate to talk about truth. We don't fight shy, and we happily are politically incorrect on many occasions. No malice to all, but if you want to find a solution to a problem, then you have to discuss this problem threadbare. Thank you for joining us. Satyameva Jayate. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here. Jai Hind.
Thank you.